Have you ever thought about, like, all those untold stories in history? The ones that actually shaped the world we live in?
Hmm. Yeah.
That's kind of what we're doing today, right? Going behind the scenes
Behind the
of
scenes.
NPR's Throughline,
Ah,
which
okay.
is a show that's basically like digging up a time capsule.
Interesting.
But instead of it being buried in the earth, it's like buried in sound, you know?
I see. Yeah. So, what do we have to work with for this deep dive?
Well, the cool thing is that the source material is actually an episode of Throughline itself,
Okay.
where the hosts basically pull back the curtain and show us how they make the show.
Oh, wow.
So it's like a making of documentary, but just for our ears.
That's meta.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Really cool.
So like throughout this deep dive, we're going to be looking at how Throughline even came to be,
Okay.
how they actually find and connect all these historical dots.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll even get to see some stories that almost made it onto the show, but didn't quite make the cut.
Oh, interesting. The cutting room floor, sort of?
Yeah, exactly. And honestly, going through this material was kind of like being a fly on the wall in one of their brainstorming
I
sessions.
bet. It really does feel like you're getting that, inside look, doesn't it? It's
Yeah.
like you're right there in the writer's room seeing how everything gets put together.
Yeah,
And I mean, especially for a show like Throughline, which is known for being so meticulous with their research, I think that's super cool that they're giving us this kind of access.
totally. So to kick things off, let's go all the way back to the beginning.
Okay.
Like the origin story of Throughline.
Right.
It's pretty interesting. It's
Yeah.
kind of a hidden history itself.
I like it.
So there were these two producers, Rand and Ramton,
Okay.
and from what I gathered, they basically bonded over a shared love of history,
Mm-hmm.
but also this like desire to create something different,
Something different. Yeah.
something that went beyond, your typical history documentary.
Right. Right.
And get this, they actually started the whole thing working on the side. Well, I know. In the evenings and on weekends, just driven by their passion.
Wow. That's dedication.
I know, right? And their very first pilot episode was called The War of the Worlds.
Interesting title.
I know. And it tackled, like, the Sunni-Shia divide in Islam.
Whoa. That's jumping right into the deep end.
Right. Talk about an ambitious first project.
Especially for a show that wants to, reach a broad audience.
Yeah, but it just shows how committed they were to making history relevant to, like, what's happening in the world today.
Absolutely. So, what happened when they finally shared the pilot?
Okay, picture this. They finally play the episode for their boss.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
The lights are dimmed, everyone's super anxious,
Yeah.
and then their boss just says, "This is the future of NPR."
Wow. Talk about validation.
Right, like, can you imagine?
I'd be over the moon.
Totally. But what's even cooler is that it wasn't just, empty praise.
It wasn't.
No, like, right away, key people at NPR started supporting them.
Oh.
They really believed that Throughline could fill, like, a gap in their programming.
That's incredible. And I'm sure the team's dedication played a big part in making that happen, too.
Oh, for sure. You can just hear how passionate they are when they talk about it, even now.
Yeah, their enthusiasm is contagious. But, okay, so we know how the show started,
Right.
but how do they actually put an episode together?
Well, they talk about one episode in particular
Okay.
called 2 Miles Down the Road,
Okay.
which focused on, like, the environmental justice movement in Warren County, North Carolina.
Interesting.
Yeah, and what's so cool about this episode is that it's dealing with more recent history.
Oh, I see.
So that means they could actually interview people who were there, living through it.
Wow, that's a whole different type of historical research, right?
Exactly. It's not just about archives and documents.
Right.
It's about capturing, like, people's lived experiences, their
The
emotions.
human side of things.
Yeah, exactly. But they did say it was really tough to track down all these everyday people who ended up making history.
Oh, really? Why?
Well, because, like, these weren't academics or famous people. They were
Right.
just ordinary people
Yeah.
who became part of something extraordinary.
Yeah, I see. Yeah. So how did they find them?
Well, they talked about using this mix of, like, persistence, local connections.
Oh, okay.
Like Reverend Remy, who was super important in connecting them with sources.
Oh.
And they even mentioned tracking down, like, a relative of a key figure through a university profile.
Wow. That's like detective work.
I know, right?
That's impressive. It shows how committed they are to going beyond, like, the official stories, right?
Yeah.
To finding those voices that often get left out of the history books.
Exactly. And when you're dealing with personal accounts like that, they said fact-checking becomes even more important.
Oh, I bet.
Like, they talked about needing to make sure those individual memories matched up with, documented events in local news archives.
Right, to make sure everything lines up.
Yeah.
I mean, that just goes to show how much care and attention they put into their work, right?
Absolutely. And it's those little details,
Yeah.
that really make these stories come alive.
What kind of details?
Like, they mentioned this story about women in Warren County
Okay.
throwing fried chicken over a fence to the protesters who were being detained.
Wow. Really?
I know. It's such a small act of kindness, but it says so much.
It does, yeah. It says a lot about community and supporting each other during tough times.
Exactly. So we've seen how Throughline got started
Right.
and how they approach an episode that's about, like, recent history.
Yeah.
But what about the stories that don't actually make it into the show?
Oh, the cutting room floor. Yeah, that's what I'm curious about.
Okay, so this is where things get really interesting.
Okay, tell me everything.
So the producer shared this story
Okay.
about the Tassidae.
The Tassidae.
Yeah, it's this group in the Philippines.
Yeah.
And they were presented to the world as being like Stone Age cave dwellers.
Like they had never been touched by civilization.
Exactly.
Wow.
It became this huge global sensation.
Oh, wow.
Like, they were featured in documentaries, magazines, the whole 9 yards.
I bet.
But then it turned out that the whole thing was fake.
Wait, what? Seriously?
I know.
So it was all made up?
Apparently orchestrated by the Marcos regime.
This is wild. It sounds like something out of a movie.
I know, right? And you can totally hear the producer's excitement, when they were talking about uncovering this whole story and pouring over all these documentaries.
I bet. I mean, especially since you're the one who actually provided some of that material.
I know. How meta is that?
That's crazy. But why would the Marcos regime create this whole elaborate hoax?
Well, that's the question that really got the producers hooked, right?
That makes sense.
Because it gets into all these themes that Throughline loves to explore.
Like what?
Myth-making, manipulation, how narratives can be so powerful, even when they're based on lies.
It's all about who controls the story.
Right, and I'm guessing they were going to include this Tassidae story in the episode about the Marcos dynasty, right?
The one called Mythos and Melodrama in the Philippines.
Yeah, that's the one. But in the end, they decided it was just too complex to fit into that episode.
Ah, I get it.
It's a shame, because it sounds like an amazing story.
It does.
But I could see how it might have been a bit too much of a sidetrack.
Yeah, you don't want to lose focus of the main narrative.
Right, exactly. It's like when you're putting together a puzzle.
Yeah.
Sometimes, even if a piece is really cool, it just doesn't belong in that particular puzzle.
That's a great way to put it.
And I think it shows that they really respect their audience's time and attention.
Oh, for sure.
Like, they're basically saying, we could go down this rabbit hole, but we'll save it for another day.
I like that. And it leaves you wanting more.
Exactly.
Well, it sounds like Throughline really knows what they're doing.
They do. They're so good at, like, distilling complex stuff into stories that are interesting but still easy to understand.
Yeah, it's a tough balance.
But they pull it off.
And that's what makes them so good at revealing those connections between the past and present.
Totally.
Yeah.
Like, you listen to an episode and you're like, whoa, I never thought about it that way before.
Yeah. It's not just about learning facts, it's about gaining a new perspective on things.
Exactly. So this deep dive has really made me want to check out Throughline's archive.
Yeah. You haven't listened to all of them.
I haven't. There's so many episodes I still need to catch up on.
I know what you mean. There's a ton of great stuff in their archive waiting to be discovered.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And knowing how much work and thought they put into their process just makes me even more excited to listen.
Yeah, it adds a whole other level, doesn't it? Like, you're not just hearing the story, you're kind of getting a glimpse behind the curtain, too.
I totally agree. I feel like we've just scratched the surface here, but this behind-the-scenes look has really piqued my curiosity.
Mine, too.
It's like a reminder that history isn't just dates and names in a textbook.
Yeah.
It's about the stories we tell, the ones we choose to believe, and the power those stories have.
That's such a powerful point, and I think it really encourages us to think critically about the stories we're told, right?
Absolutely. Like, who's telling the story?
Yeah.
Why are they telling it? What's their perspective?
Exactly. And I think that's a perfect place to pause for now.
Yeah, good idea.
We've explored the origins of Throughline. We've seen how dedicated they are to their research.
Right.
And we even uncovered this fascinating story that, didn't make it into the final cut.
It's wild.
It is. But there's still so much more to explore.
There is.
So stay tuned, because in the next part, we're going to keep digging into Throughline's approach to uncovering these hidden histories.
Oh, I can't wait.
And we're going to talk about how these stories can really change how we understand the world around us today.
It's good or good.
I think so, too. See you soon.
See you soon.
It's amazing, isn't it?
What is?
How these stories end up shaping the way we understand the world.
Yeah.
Like the Tassidae hoax.
Mm-hmm.
That was pretty out there.
Yeah, it was.
But it makes you wonder, like,
Yeah.
how do we decide what to believe, especially when it comes to history?
Oh, for sure.
Like, we assume what's in history books or documentaries is accurate.
Right.
But the Tassidae thing shows how easy it is for people to manipulate those narratives.
It really does.
And it's not always about intentional deception either, you know?
It isn't.
No, like sometimes it's just unconscious bias,
Oh,
where some perspectives get more attention than others.
I see.
And it seems like Throughline is really aware of that.
Yeah.
Like, they're always trying to uncover those hidden perspectives, you know, the voices that don't usually get heard.
Yeah, I like that about them.
Me too, and that's
Yeah.
where their deep research process comes in.
Right, like all that fact-checking they were talking about.
Exactly, even with those first-hand accounts.
Yeah.
They're so thorough, and it's not just for those episodes. It's not.
No, they apply that same approach to all their episodes.
Oh, wow, so they're not just accepting things at face value.
Yep.
They're actually going into the archives, talking to experts.
Yep.
To make sure they're presenting a nuanced and like a complete perspective.
Exactly, they really do their homework.
They do.
And that's one of the things that makes Throughline so great.
Yeah.
They don't just tell you what happened.
Right.
They help you understand why it matters, how it connects to what's going on today,
Oh, interesting.
and how it might shape what happens in the future.
I never thought about it like that.
It's a different way of looking at history.
It is, yeah.
Something else that struck me while we were listening
What's that?
was how much they emphasized the emotional impact of history.
Oh, right.
It's not just about dates and wars and stuff.
No.
It's about real people, you know, and what they went through.
Like the women throwing fried chicken over the fence.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That was such a powerful story.
It was.
Such a small thing, but so meaningful.
I know, right?
Like these little moments
Yeah.
help make history come alive.
And they're so good at finding those moments,
They are.
you know, the ones that really resonate with people.
They really are.
It's like they're saying, this didn't just happen in the past, it's still affecting our lives today.
That's so true.
It's a powerful message.
It is, and it's why Throughline is so successful.
Yeah.
They found this balance between really thorough research and, you know, telling an engaging story.
Yeah, it's not easy to do.
It's not, but they make it look effortless.
And that's what makes them so good at revealing those hidden connections
Yeah.
between then and now.
Between then and now, exactly. So we've talked about how Throughline finds these great stories and the choices they make when putting an episode together.
Yeah.
But what about the listener?
Oh,
What do we get out of all this?
That's a great question.
Like, why should we care about these hidden histories?
It's easy to get lost in the details, but Throughline always brings it back to the bigger picture.
I see.
They connect those details to something larger.
They do, yeah.
They always ask,
Yeah.
so what?
Quiet.
Yeah, how does this history still affect us today?
It's not just about knowing what happened in the past, is it?
No, not really.
Like, it's more about using that knowledge to understand today.
Exactly.
Maybe even see what might happen in the future.
Right, and one thing they're really good at is showing patterns in history.
Patterns.
Yeah, like how certain ideas
Okay.
or conflicts, even feelings,
Yeah.
keep popping up again and again
Oh, interesting.
across different times and places.
I can see that.
Like you'll see something in the news today and
Uh-huh.
suddenly you think, oh, this is just like what happened 100 years ago,
Yeah.
just in a different way.
Wow, yeah.
Like they're giving you a whole new way to look at the world.
Totally. It's like that saying about not remembering the past
Yeah,
and being doomed to repeat it.
exactly. But Throughline takes it a step further. They don't just want you to remember. They want you to really understand, to analyze, to connect the dots.
That makes sense.
And they do it in a way that makes you think, but also keeps you interested.
I agree.
It's not like a boring lecture.
Right. It's like a story,
It is a
a
story.
well-told story.
It draws you in.
Yeah, and that's what I think sets them apart.
From other history shows.
Yeah, like they managed to be both, you know,
Well,
like smart but still accessible.
totally. It's informative, but also entertaining.
Yeah, exactly. And they don't shy away from difficult topics either.
No, they don't.
They cover everything.
Politics, social movements, technology.
I know. And they always explain it in a way that makes sense.
Even if you don't know a lot about history.
Right. They never make you feel dumb.
And they aren't afraid to ask hard questions.
Like about the Tassidae.
Yeah, exactly. That whole episode is about questioning what you're told,
Mm-hmm.
even if it seems convincing at first.
Oh, that's so important these days.
It is, right.
Like, with so much information out there.
I know.
You really need to know how to separate truth from fiction.
Absolutely. And Throughline helps with that.
They do. They show you how to think critically.
Yeah. To be curious and also skeptical.
Oh, I like that. Curious but skeptical.
Right.
So that's what we've learned from this deep dive.
I think so.
Throughline isn't just a show
It's a way of thinking.
about connecting the past and present, questioning what we think we know,
Yep.
and using history to understand the world better.
And maybe even change it.
Maybe even change it, yeah. So I want to leave you with one last thought.
Okay.
As you go about your day, just pay attention to the stories you encounter.
Ooh, I like that.
In the news, in conversations.
Even in your own head.
Yeah, even in your own head.
Because those are stories too.
They are.
Ask yourself, where did those stories come from? What are the hidden histories behind them?
That's a good one.
And how are those stories shaping your choices?
So what are you saying?
History is all around us.
Yes.
And we get to choose how we interact with it.
I like that.
So go check out Throughline.
Yeah.
Dive into those hidden histories.
Explore.
Shit what you find.
And who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe you'll uncover a new way of looking at the world.
That would be amazing.
It would. Thanks for listening, everyone.